Welcome back to War Games Battle Reports. Coming up, we've got 3 games from a recent 40k 4th edition event at Black Dragon Miniatures. I took my demons this time, and for my army for the 3 games, I've got a Lord of Change with no upgrades, Keeper of Secrets with Soporific Musk, Unholy Might, and Transfixing Gaze, 2 units of 3 Flamers, 9 Demonettes, 1 with Transfixing Gaze, 7 Horrors, 1 with Bolt of Zinch and the Changeling in there, another 7 Horrors with a Bolt of Zinch, 6 Plague Bearers with an Icon, 6 Screamers, and a Zinch Demon Prince with Ironhide, Bolt of Zinch, and Demonic Gaze. Game 1 is against Sam and his entirely custom Nurgle demons. So it's demons versus demons, meaning neither of us will start on the board. For the Nurgle Demons army, there's Kugath, 2 Heralds on Palanquin with Noxious Touch and Cloud of Flies, 2 units of 10 Plague Bearers with Icons, Musicians, and Noxious Touch, 3 units of 2 Beasts of Nurgle, each with a Noxious Touch, and 2 Nurgle Demon Princes with Flight, Breath of Chaos, and Aura of Decay. Everything's custom made, so it's a little difficult to differentiate from this photo. The scenario for this game is Cleanse, so we chose opposite quarters for deployment, but of course neither of us actually deploy. The quarters are important though for scoring at the end. Sam wins the roll-off and decides to make me go first in this game. Turn 1, I've tried to split my army as evenly as possible, and I get my preferred wave. Everything aims to come in around my nominal home table quarter. The Plague Bears and Demonettes land on target. The Lord of Change, Horrors, and Flamers all scatter quite far, but land safely. Obviously, there's nothing else on the board, so there's nothing to shoot at, just the Demonettes fleeting to spread out, and that's the turn. For the Nurgle turn 1, Kugath and the Plague Bearers with the Herald aim to land near the centre of the battlefield, but both scatter off course. Kugath rolls a double 6 for scatter, but lands safely. The first Demon Prince comes in between the 3 ruins and near the Lord of Change. One of the units of 2 beasts comes in near my Plague Bearers, just scattering a few inches back. The prince tries to use its breath, but can't hit anything. Turn 2, the Demon Prince arrives using the icon so it doesn't risk scattering. The second unit of Flamers also come in this turn. They try to come in near the bunched up Plague Bearers, but scatter to the other side, between the Great and Clean One and the ruins. The Horrors and my Plague Bearers spread out a bit, and the first Flamer unit and Demonettes move towards Sam's Plague Bearers. The Lord of Change flies to the other side of the Nurgle Prince and away from the Great and Clean One. Shooting, the Lord of Change and the Zinch Prince shoot at the Nurgle Prince, doing 2 wounds. The Horrors fire at the beasts, getting 1 wound through. Both units of Flamers fire at the Plague Bearers, but most of the shooting is from warp fire, so only 2 die. In combat, my Plague Bearers charge the beasts. The Lord of Change charges the Prince, and the Demonettes charge the Plague Bearers. In the beasts combat, neither side does anything, with the beasts rolling low for their random attacks. The Lord of Change kills the Nurgle Prince, but takes 1 wound in return. The Demonettes roll a lot of rending hits, getting around the high toughness and feel no pain to some extent, but only kill 2 thanks to some good invulnerable saves. However, the Plague Bearers do nothing in return to the Demonettes. Nurgle turn 2. The Nurgle demons are really unlucky, failing all 4 reserve rolls, so get no assistance this turn. With the beasts and plague bearers locked in combat, there's basically no movement. Kugath shoots at and then charges the nearby flamers. Only one flamer is actually killed by the attacks, but it's enough to win the combat, and the others die to no retreat. The demonettes kill 4 plague bearers and lose 2 in return, and then another plague bearer dies to no retreat. Turn 3. The second horror unit and the screamers arrive this turn. The horrors use the icon, and the screamers drop in the opposite table quarter. They scatter 6 inches, putting them closer to Kugath than they had planned. The Lord of Change flies close to the edge of the table for Archon Kugath, and the horrors move around the side of the ruin. The Flamers and Lord of Change shoot at Kugath, putting 1 wound on it. The Demon Prince doesn't shoot this turn, instead charging into the beasts. In the combat, the Prince kills the beasts. 1 demonette dies, but they finish off the plague bearers and put 1 wound onto the herald. For Nurgle, reserves continue to go badly. Another beast unit arrives, landing near the screamers, but the second demon prince, aiming near the centre, scatters into the demonettes and dies to deep strike mishap. Kugath does manage to make some Nurglings though, which is this thing here. Kugath then tries to move towards the Lord of Change, but as it's slow and purposeful, doesn't get very far. In the combat, the Herald is killed, but takes another demonette down with him. Turn 4, the Keeper of Secrets arrives, aiming near the centre but scattering. It is able to reposition a bit with Fleet though. Kugath creates another Nurgling swarm, but it mishaps. There is some movement, but largely just trying to stay away from Kugath or occupy table quarters. Shooting from the horrors kills the Nurglings, and shooting from everything else in range goes into Kugath, but does nothing to him. In what would be the Nurgle quarter, the Screamers charge the beasts, but then the beasts pass all their saves and kill 2 of the Screamers. In their turn, the last Beasts unit and the other Plague Bearer unit with the Herald turn up. The Beasts come in near the bunker in my corner, and the Plague Bearers land on target in the centre. Again, Kugath makes another Nurgling base to replace the one the horrors have just killed. Kugath tries to move, but only goes 2 inches with slow and purposeful. He tries to shoot with necrotic missiles as well, but it scatters off target. In combat this turn, both the beasts roll a 6 for their attacks and kill 2 of the screamers. Turn 5, this ends up being the last turn of the game. We were playing reasonably quickly and didn't have any deployment to slow us down to begin with, but the round started kind of late, so the first round got cut short for the schedule. The Flames kill 6 of the heavily bunched up Plague Bearers, and the Lord of Change and the Changelings horrors each kill some more. The other horror unit manages to kill both the beasts near the bunker. The Screams die in the combat, but that's the end of the game. With my army largely intact and holding 2 table quarters, it finishes a victory to the demons. The game was cut short, so Kugath may have been able to shoot something and the victory points would have been different, but probably not change the outcome of the game. Losing the prince to mishap and not getting any reserves 1 turn hurt the Nurgle demons. Neither of us wanted to go first this game, but it may have actually helped me a bit just because the table was a bit less crowded for my first wave and I was able to get the icon on the board. Game 2 is against Travis and his World Eaters. So it's Khorne against Tzeentch, Slaanesh and Nurgle. For the World Eaters today, there's Corn Lord, 4 units of Berserkers with axes of corn on the champions, 2 Rhinos, 5 Corn Terminators, and a Land Raider. The scenario for this game is Recon. For deployment, 1 unit in a Rhino with another one beside them is on the flank. The Land Raider with the Terminators are in the centre, and there's another unit on foot next to them. Then on the right, there's another unit in a Rhino with the Lord in there as well. The demons aren't on the board yet. Demons turn 1. The threat range of the Terminators and the Land Raider is quite far, so with the exception of the Flamers, everything tries to come in a good distance away. The Lord of Change lands on target near the left. The first horror unit and the Screamers aim more towards the middle, but both scatter 6 inches backwards. The Plague Bearers aim further towards the right, but scatter 8 inches forward, closer to one of the units on foot and the Lord in the Rhino. The Flames are more aggressive, trying to land up close to the unit on foot and the Rhino on the left. They scatter 8 inches away towards the World Eater's board edge. In shooting, the Lord of Change stuns the Rhino on the left. It's a pen though, so it forces the passengers out. The Flames shoot at them, but it's just with the warp fire, so it doesn't really do anything. World Eater's turn 1. 3 units succumb to Blood Frenzy. The unit that was forced out the Rhino go towards the Flamers. This unit moves towards the Plague Bearers. Importantly though, the other unit that fails is the Terminators, meaning they have to get out the Land Raider, and then they go 11 inches towards the Plague Bearers. This happened before in a previous game we'd played. The Land Raider then moves up beside the Terminators and shoots one of the Screamers with its las cannon. Berserkers charge the Flamers at the rear of their lines and kill them all easily, then sweep forwards towards the centre. Turn 2. The Demonettes, Prince, and the second Flamer unit arrive this turn, and they all use the Plague Bearer's icon so they don't scatter. The Demonettes then fleet to spread out a bit. The units already on the board don't move very far, just spread out a bit. In shooting, because the Flamers were able to use the icon, they're able to set up a good breath attack on the Berserkers, threatening the Plague Bearers. The Flamers kill 6 of them, then the Prince kills the other 2. On the other side, the Lord of Change kills 2 Berserkers, and then the bolt from the Horrors kills a Terminator. World Eater's turn 2. The Terminators blood frenzy again and move 12 inches towards the Flamers and then charge them in the assault phase. The Rhino on the Demon's right moves towards the Demon Prince, then the Lord and his unit disembark. They fire pistols at the Prince, but it saves the 1 wound caused. On the other flank, 1 unit embarks the Rhino and moves towards the Lord of Change. Looking back, I think this was the other unit's transport. In the centre, the Land Raider moves forward and shoots at the Lord of Change but fails to wound. In combat, the Flamers are killed and the Terminators then sweep into the Prince. Turn 3. Neither of the units in reserve materialise to help out this turn. On the left, the Lord of Change flies up to the Rhino and shoots at it. It's penetrated but not destroyed. However, the passengers are forced out and 1 dies in the process. The Horrors then shoot at them, killing another 3. In assault, the Lord of Change charges the Rhino but can't hit it. In the centre, the Screamers fly up to and then assault the Land Raider, destroying a twinning las cannon and stunning it with their warp jaws. On the right, the Demonettes charge into the Terminators and kill them all before they or the Prince can even attack. The Berserkers in the middle and the Lord's unit both blood frenzied this turn and both go 12 inches. The centre unit towards the Screamers and the Lord's unit towards the Prince. The last 2 Berserkers on the left charge the Lord of Change but die before attacking. In the centre, the Screamer unit is killed, 3 to attacks and the last 2 to no retreat. However, the Land Raider is also destroyed, but I think this was a mistake. Even though they're locked in combat and still in base contact, because it didn't move away, they're not actually locked with the vehicle. On the right, the Lord fails to wound the Prince, and the Prince kills one, but then is killed by the Berserkers. The Berserkers and Lord then sweeping advance into the Demonettes. Turn 4, the last 2 reserve units arrive, both using the icon to avoid scattering. The Keeper fleets after arriving, and the Lord of Change moves towards the centre. The Lord of Change and Horror unit shoot the Berserkers in the centre, leaving only the champion remaining. In the combat, the Demonettes kill 5 Berserkers and lose 3 in return, rolling really well for their rending hits. In the World Eater's turn 4, 4 of the Demonettes direct their attacks at the remaining 2 Berserkers, killing them. Then there's 1 Demonette only in base contact with the Lord, so it attacks the Lord directly. In the most improbable event of the day, the Demonette rolls a 666 to hit and kills the unwounded Lord, ignoring its armour and feel no pain. With just the lone champion and rhinos left, the game is basically called here. With 2 turns left, there's time to get at least the Demonettes into the World Eater's deployment zone for the mission. So it's another win to the Demons. Game 3, it's against Chris and his Space Marines, and we're playing Secure and Control with 3 objectives. It's also back on the table I started on. For the Space Marines, I didn't get a good picture before the game, but there's a combat squad with a las cannon, a combat squad with plasma gun, and they're in the ruins with the objective. More tactical Marines with plasma guns next to them, a Predator, and to my right, the Space Marines left, there's a Devastator squad with missile launchers on top of the ruins and a Whirlwind behind them. Then on the flank, there's a Rhino with a Tech Marine and a unit with melter guns and a Power Fist Sergeant in it. And then off the board, there's also a Terminator squad and a Librarian. They decided to deep strike so they could react to where the demons come in. Turn 1, and the demons are going first again. The Lord of Change aims to drop towards the left in the Space Marine deployment zone. The Plague Bearers aim further back on my left, and the Horrors aim towards the centre. They all scatter quite far in different directions, ending up grouped quite close together. The Screamers land on target with some ruins for cover from the Predator and the Devastators. The Flames aim to drop quite aggressively behind the Marines in the open. They scatter, but end up on the other side of their intended target and still in breath range. In shooting, the Flames kill 6 of the Marines and shake the Predator. The Lord of Change fires at the unit in the ruins and manages to kill 2, even in cover. Space Marines turn 1. There's not a lot of movement. The shaken Predator reverses and the Rhino advances round the side of the ruins. The 2 surviving plasma gunners get back into coherency and then shoot at the Flamers. They pass their saves against them, so one of the squads in the ruins rapid fires into them. The Flamers are all killed, however, that squad's plasma gunner overheats and kills itself. The las cannon fires at the Lord of Change, but it passes an invulnerable save. The Whirlwind fires indirectly at the bunched up Screamers, wounding 1, which passes the save. Then the Devastators aim across the board at the Horrors, still in deep strike formation. They score 3 direct hits from the frag missiles, killing all 7 of them. Demons turn 2. The Keeper of Secrets, Demon Prince, Flamers, and Demonettes all arrive this turn. The Demonettes land near the Lord of Change and then fleet to move up towards the ruins with the objective. The Plague Bearers slowly amble back towards the left objective. The Flamers scatter a long way off target. 1 is lost to deep strike mishap, but the other 2 land between the Predator and the Whirlwind. The Keeper of Secrets and the Prince land a bit off target, but safely, between the Techmarines Rhino and the right side objective. In shooting, the Lord of Change kills 3 Marines in the ruins, and the Flamers reshake the Predator. The Prince then blows up the Rhino with its bolt of Tzeentch. The explosion doesn't hurt anything nearby, but 2 of the occupants are killed in the explosion. In combat, the Screamers charge the 2 Marines with plasma guns. Only one dies, and the last one manages to escape, but still stay on the board. Space Marines turn 2. The lone plasma gunner rallies, and the shaken Predator reverses back around the ruins. In shooting, the Whirlwind fires indirectly at the Screamers again. It scatters, but rolls a double 1 for the distance, so still hits them. It kills 1, and then 2 more die to combined fire from the tactical Marines. On the right, the Devastators fire crack missiles at the Prince, doing 1 wound. Melter guns from the Tech Marines unit put 2 wounds on the Keeper of Secrets, and then they charge into combat with it. The Keeper of Secrets kills 2 before they can attack, but despite transfixing gaze and a 4+ invulnerable, the Tech Marine and the Sergeant kill the Keeper with a Power Fist and Servo Arm attack. Demons turn 3. The Flamers jump to the top of the ruins and use breath on the Devastators, but only kill 3 of them. The Prince shoots at the Tech Marines unit, killing 1. The Lord of Change then shoots one of the tactical Marines in the ruins and charges and kills 2 more. The model itself is on the ground here. The Screamers charge the Whirlwind, attacking with their warp jaws. The Whirlwind is destroyed, but explodes, killing one of the Screamers, a Flamer, and one of the remaining Devastators in the process. Space Marines turn 3. The lone plasma gunner passes last man standing, and the Tech Marine separates from the Power Fist Sergeant. The Screamers pass a save against the plasma gun, but 1 dies to shooting from the Tech Marine. The Predator and the last of the Devastators shoot at the Demon Prince, who takes a wound. In the combat, the Lord of Change kills the last Marine in the ruins, and the Tech Marine charges and finishes off the last remaining Screamer. Turn 4. The Demonettes move closer to the ruins and the objective. In shooting, the last Flamer shoots the remaining Devastators but fails to wound, and the Lord of Change shoots the Predator but fails to do anything. The Prince shoots at and kills the lone Power Fist Sergeant that had separated from the Tech Marine. Space Marines turn 4. The Terminators and Librarian arrive from reserve. They try to come in near the Plague Bearers and the objective, however, end up scattering 10 inches and scattering off the board, and so end up dying to deep strike mishap. The lone plasma gunner shoots the Demonettes who pass an invulnerable save, and the Predator puts a wound on the Demon Prince. The Tech Marine moves up to the top of the ruins and kills the last Flamer in combat. Turn 5. The last horror unit arrives and lands on target near the Prince and the objective. The horrors then shoot at the Devastators. They kill 1 and then make the last one fall back. The Prince shoots at the Tech Marine, but it passes its saves. The Lord of Change wrecks the Predator, and the Demonettes finish off the last remaining plasma gunner. With only the Tech Marine and a fleeing missile launcher left, the game is called at this point, so it's another win for the Demons. Losing the Terminators and the Librarian unit hurt a lot. They turned up late, so the Demons weren't quite as outnumbered as they would have been in the first few turns. Then, when they did arrive, mishapped. They were a big percentage of the Space Marines' points, and had they landed where they intended, would have likely removed the Plague Bearers and taken that objective. With 3 victories to the Demons, they take a surprising event win. Deep Strike is very unforgiving in 4th, and it can be especially costly to the Demons considering how expensive everything is. So I expected to lose a lot more than just 1 Flamer across 3 games. The first and last game highlighted how dangerous it is, with both of my opponents losing units. I was being very cautious and aiming for large gaps, which is marginally safer, but can leave you either too spread out or negate some of the advantage of deep striking in the first place. I was fortunate to get the icon in the first wave in all 3 games, and I used it quite a lot, which also helped. Most of the army made some contribution at least some point during the 3 games, probably with the exception of the keeper, which either arrived late or just died really easily. The Lord of Change and Demonettes in particular both did really well. Thanks again to my opponents for the 3 games and to Black Dragon Miniatures, and thanks for watching.